What's up, everybody? This is Mark from Got Momo Stocks. I'll be doing a video chart on EKNL, Echo International Corp, for January 25th, 2012. So today, the 25th, we see that it opened at 18 cents, went down to a low of 12 cents, shot back up to a high of 22 cents, and then closed for the day at 20 cents. Not a bad day, up 42%. Great for anybody that was able to scoop up some shares at 12 cents. Congratulations. It's not very often that you're going to be able to sit on the bid and have somebody dump some shares, and to your benefit. So, like I stated before, basically no volume whatsoever through December here, and then we start to see the true chart form. And we've got history in the making here. Starting in the middle of December, beginning of December, we start to see some movement. What's significant is when we start to get into January. In January, you see the most significant volume because you're snug right up along the upper Bollinger Band here. You can tell it indicates that there's a breakout mode here because of the upper candle, the body of the candle is poked through the upper Bollinger Band, and we see it right up along here. Okay. Now we have a black candle here, shows quite a bit of pressure, selling pressure, and it's an indication either that it could go higher as it bounces right off of the Bollinger Band again, or it's an indication as well that it was going to pull back. And in this case, it pulled back, and it needed some consolidation, and that's what you see here is some green. And when it reached up here in the 32, 33 range, we see an oversold territory. Investors, traders, they get a little bit worried, and then they'll start to sell the stock. But as time goes on, more investors are going to be involved in the stock, and they're not going to have as much worrying to have to deal with, because this price level is going to be broken fairly soon. So like I said, this pulled back very nicely, held firm at the 200-day moving average, which is this red line here, and bounced back up, and we see it again, a little bit of selling here yesterday, and then a nice push right off of the 200-day moving average again. So we're expecting this thing to now continue its course, and may have a little bit of resistance at 27 cents or so, but I doubt it. Like I stated before, the level 2 is very, very thin. Takes only a couple slaps on the ask, and it's going to head higher. Clear out that very easy. Going back to the RSI, we can see as it was previously in oversold territory, and now we're at the 50 mark here. And it bounced off nicely, and so we can see that it has quite a bit of support here, and it's going to a little bit more leeway now before it heads back into oversold territory. Another indicator that I like to focus on is the pivot points, and that also is a great indicator as it kind of pulled back a little bit past the 200-day moving average. We see it bounce off of the pivot point, which also is a good indication of where support is at. Other than that, we have the MACD line, which we've got our histogram, which is slowing down in volume here, but we're expecting, as we've got this nice little pop back up, we're going to see a nice increase in volume again, and this is going to shoot back up north. And the reason this looks like the same pattern, if you look at one of the more famous stocks that people have been watching lately, PROT, you can see that it had a nice run up and then pulled back for about 2 or 3 days and then continued its upward trend. And that's what we're expecting to see here on EKNL. Another indicator here, we've got the Williams R, and it also was in the oversold territory and consolidation here, and so now we've bounced right back off of the 80 here from nearly oversold territory to heading back north. And so that's a great indication that there's a lot more room to head north. Tricks as well, looking good. A lot of space here in between, but Still looking good, a great indicator, bullish indicator. And one of my favorites here is the accumulation. As I said before, we've got throughout December, you can see a steady accumulation all throughout December. And then we start to see a steady rise, a decent increase in accumulation as we head through January, and more awareness is put out there on EKNL. Of course, it accommodated a little bit for the pullback, and that's where we see it kind of level out. But now we're in the northward territory here and heading back up, and accumulation has started again. Now currently there are only 153,000 shares of EKNL total in the DTC. It's a very tight float, as you can see on the level 2 as well. It's very, very, very thin, so it's easy to move this stock. And it moves on air. No dilution whatsoever. If there was dilution, we would see that reflected in the price, and we'd be on this little pullback. We'd see the price pull back further, under 1 cent to sub pennies, if there was extreme dilution. But that's not the case, and I'll go over why in a minute. It's a reverse merger play, just like drop. So there's a lot of potential for this, for EKNL to expand upward. We're also seeing over 3 million shares have traded, but since there's 153,000 shares in the DTC, how are they going to cover? Who? The shorts. Market makers are illegally naked short selling this stock, and it is going to be a squeeze. Anyone requesting an EKNL stock certificate from the DTC will have a failure to deliver, causing the stock to be sold at a premium and forcing the price upwards of $1. Basically, this is going to be a hardcore short squeeze. With the steady increase in volume, it's contributing to slow and consistent gains. And although we had a slight pullback, there is steady volume in the stock, and you can see that throughout the chart. There is going to be consistent gains, and with any stock that's in breakout mode or going higher, it needs to pull back, as I stated before, to reload. But this consistent gains is really what is going to do it with the steady volume. Insiders are holding their shares with a firm grip. They don't want to sell, and this is evident when trying to purchase at the bid and not being able to get filled. The ask is where the money is made, and I stand by this. There's only been a few occasions now where the market makers have tried to manipulate the stock. They've been hiding bids, etc., and they're shaking out some of the traders, the investors here, and hold your shares tight. The reason why is because it's not insider selling. Okay, it's difficult to get shares at the bid, and the reason why is because there's the acquisitions and higher price per share. And why is this significant? The insiders are not selling for these two reasons: acquisitions in the future, right? And we have one around the corner. Previously, there was a PR that stated that they were in talks, and if everything goes according to plan, they will have a successful acquisition. With insiders knowing this information, they're not going to be dumping on the stock. Not at all. They're in it for the long run, and they're expecting a higher price per share. And when you have a higher price per share, EKNL is a company that acquires other companies. And a company with a higher price per share, it is more attractive to be acquired by them. Essentially, no one wants to be, if you are a company and you had a choice to be acquired by a sub-penny stock or a company that was valuated at 50 cents, 80 cents, $1, that's where they're trying to push this. This is where they want to inevitably be, and we're going to see this continue higher on the path because they are not done with acquisitions, is what I've come to discover. They are they're a company that acquires other companies, and that's how they make their money. So if they were to stop here, that would just be nonsense. This is a little bit of DD, and I will be delving further into the DD at a later time in another video. Thank you for watching this video chart on EKNL. This is Mark from Got Momo Stocks.